Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into the major actions taken by Donald Trump since he took office as president in 2025. You might be thinking, wait, wasn't he president before? And you'd be right. But after a brief stint outside the Oval Office, he's back, baby. And much like a honey badger returning to raid a picnic basket, he seems to have picked up right where he left off. Now we know what you're thinking, this is going to be a wild ride. And you'd be absolutely correct. So buckle up as we try to unpack the whirlwind of executive orders, policy changes, and tweets that have defined the first 100 days of Trump's second-term, non-consecutive term. From immigration to healthcare, we'll break down the potential impacts of these bold moves and try to make sense of it all. First on the agenda, let's talk about the travel ban. You see, the original travel ban was so effective, so beloved by all, that President Trump decided to bring it back for a victory lap. This time, it's bigger, it's bolder, and it's got a catchy new name: Protecting America's Borders Extreme Edition. Now, I'm not an immigration expert, but I've watched enough airport security line reality TV to know that banning people from specific countries based solely on their religion or origin seems, well, a tad discriminatory. And, unsurprisingly, the public reaction has been about as subtle as a brick to the face. Protests have erupted across the country, legal challenges are piling up faster than unpaid bills on Trump's desk at Trump Tower, allegedly, and the international community is, shall we say, less than thrilled. But hey, at least we're safe from, people who practice a certain religion and happen to have been born in a specific part of the world. Next up, let's talk about money, or more specifically, how the Trump administration plans to redistribute it. They're calling it Making America Wealthy Again, but it feels a lot like the same old trickle-down economics we've seen before. You know, the drill massive tax cuts for corporations and the ultra-wealthy, while the rest of us get a pat on the head and a coupon for 10% off our next purchase of over $100 at participating KFC locations. Now, proponents of this plan argue that it will stimulate the economy, create jobs, and lead to a golden age of prosperity. But, and I'm just spitballing here, maybe giving more money to people who already have more money than they could ever spend in a lifetime isn't the most effective way to boost the economy. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy who makes jokes for a living. Healthcare. That perennial hot potato of American politics. And by hot potato, I mean a radioactive, biohazardous, ticking time bomb that no one wants to touch. But touch it Trump did. Remember the Affordable Care Act? Well, forget about it. Trump decided to replace it with something he calls healthcare for Americans who don't need healthcare. Details are scarce, but it seems to involve a lot of talk about personal responsibility, free market solutions, and magical fairies who will sprinkle you with good health if you pay your taxes on time. How this new system will actually work is anyone's guess. But if history is any indication, it's probably safe to say that millions of Americans will lose their health insurance, pre-existing conditions will become a death sentence, and the pharmaceutical industry will continue to rake in record profits. But hey, at least we're not socialist. In the realm of foreign policy, President Trump has adopted a speak softly and carry a really big, expensive stick approach. Alliances are being tested, trade wars are brewing, and the world is holding its breath every time Trump tweets. NATO, more like no action, talk only. The Paris Climate Agreement, more like the Paris Climate Disagreement. It's a world of America first, where diplomacy is for suckers and the only language anyone understands is the language of threats and tariffs. Whether this approach will make America safer or lead to a global game of nuclear chicken remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be an interesting ride. And finally, let's talk about the environment, or as President Trump likes to call it, that thing that gets in the way of drilling for oil. Climate change? A hoax perpetrated by the Chinese? Renewable energy? A waste of time and money? Environmental regulations? Job-killing obstacles to American greatness? In the Trump administration, the environment is seen as an obstacle to be overcome, not a precious resource to be protected. Expect to see a lot more coal, a lot less clean air and water, and a whole lot of denial about the long-term consequences of ignoring the very real threat of climate change. But hey, at least the oil companies are happy. That's a wrap on the major actions taken by Donald Trump since 2025. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more updates. It's been a wild ride so far, and it's only just begun. Whether you're excited, terrified, or just plain confused, one thing's for sure. The next 4 years are going to be anything but boring. Stay tuned as we continue to follow the Trump administration's every move, dissect their policies, and try to make sense of it all. Because frankly,